Assalamu alaikum everyone, hope you're doing well. Abdullah Bin Abbas here. I'm the CEO of Saving 9, reporting live from my car because we have some guests over with little kids, so it's quite noisy at home. So apologies for that. And I'm here to share my personal or professional failure story. So this started back in 2021 when I visited Shimshal Valley for an ice climbing course. Now, for those of you who don't know, Shimshal is a very remote village in Gilgit-Baltistan, which is 5 hours away from main Hunza. And more than 3 hours of that journey is on a jeep track, which is a road that was built over 18 years by the local community by hand. So after the ice climbing course, I visited the village and I realized that this was a very remote community and they did not really have access to proper healthcare facilities whatsoever. There was only one health center over there that had like a nurse, a midwife, and there was one paramedic. And this place is really famous for adventure tourism, so there's a lot of foreigners and outsiders that come there to climb on glaciers and mountains. But because it's really remote, it's like a 5-hour jeep ride from main Hunza to get to Shimshal. There were a lot of casualties when people got sick or injured when they are being transported to main Hunza or Gilgit, because the nearest hospital is 5 to 6 hours away. There were a lot of people that passed away. So considering that we work in emergency healthcare, at that point I decided that we should have an intervention here and train the local people in how to save lives. So the next year we partnered with a few local people, some tour operators, especially Saad Munawar, and we decided to have an intervention over there, training the local men and women, students and teachers in basic first aid and life-saving skills. So we did some fundraising, we planned this, and we went there for 2 weeks and we trained a lot of people, including men and women, people associated with the adventure tourism industry, as well as students and teachers. While we were there, we also gifted the local people some first aid kits that were given to some really high performing people within the course, and also one for the main health center and ambulance system. So in the short term, if you look at it, this intervention was quite successful. We trained more than 60 local community members, and we distributed some really important resources and knowledge to the local community. But when it comes to a long-term perspective, when it comes to sustainability, I still feel like I couldn't accomplish what I had set out to do. And there were several reasons for that. Number one, I feel like this was a very remote community when it comes to doing your first intervention outside Islamabad, Rawalpindi. And considering it was so remote, it wasn't possible for us to visit Shimshal on a more frequent basis, whether it's like 2 to 3 months. And especially since we did this intervention right in the beginning of winters, afterwards everything was blocked and we couldn't visit Shimshal for more than 6 to 7 months. Furthermore, there was a lot of issues when it comes to internet connectivity. So what we had planned initially that we can have a look at all the trainings that are ongoing within the community online, or keep in touch with the local people, that wasn't possible. Furthermore, this was right in the beginning of winter, so a lot of the men from the community were actually going to the high altitude pastures to retrieve their cattle for the winters. So even though there were some men that attended our trainings, the majority of the population was women. And one of the main target audiences that we wanted to address was men, because they're the ones that usually go out with the foreigners and outsiders on trekking and mountaineering expeditions. So learning from this experience, we are doing another intervention in Jing, which is a village in Azad Kashmir, which is 4 to 5 hours away from Islamabad. So it's much easier to travel there on a more frequent basis. You can even do a day trip, and it has much better internet connectivity, and we're also visiting like in the middle of summer. So we're going to get a lot of participation from the local men and women. Our intention behind establishing such systems in areas like Jing or Shimshal is to test various models that are low resource but high impact, because we have already established very comprehensive and successful systems in rural Islamabad with full-time staff members, with ambulances and offices, and they're very successful. They've saved more than 1,300 lives without a single casualty. However, they are very financially and resource intensive. So our intention behind setting up these initiatives in these other communities is to find a model that we can replicate throughout Pakistan, because more than 60% of the Pakistani population lives in rural areas, and they live really, really far away from various healthcare facilities that they require in emergency circumstances. So if we can successfully test and implement a model in such communities that's easily replicable throughout Pakistan, this would be something that's revolutionary and groundbreaking. So I feel like regardless of any challenges or failures that you face in the short term, if you learn from your mistakes, there's going to be much better rewards that you can reap from the entire experience in the long term. So always keep your hopes up and learn from your mistakes.